go length of the court with Archie Diacono. 3 seconds at midcourt.
The moment every student athlete dreams of.
Gives it to Jenkins for the championship. The national champions with Jenkins hitting the winner at the buzzer.
It's the biggest stage in college sports, the national championship, something very few athletes get to experience. The pure joy that rushes through them that they get to touch the championship trophy as they always dreamed of, the excitement of the fans, coaches, and teammates roaring around them, and the great realization that they had finally achieved their goal. But in the midst of all the excitement, it can be easy for fans to neglect all the hard work spent to get to that moment. The truth is, student athletes put more time into their sport than most people think.
Well, for the NCAA, us coaches were only allowed 20 hours a week of so-called team practice or any type of team function where the whole team is in one spot. As far as a student athlete and their schedule, it's kind of it's a lot more than 20 hours a week. They'll get up, lift in the morning around 6 a.m. They'll get done around 8. They'll go. Usually during the season, they're only enrolled in 12, 13 hours, depending on your situation, how many credits you have towards your major. You know, it's case by case. And then once they get out of classes, they have to come back and go to the training room and get any kind of treatment. Usually it's around 2 o'clock then, and we start our meetings usually at about 2:30 in the afternoon. We have about an hour of meeting time, and then practice is usually anywhere from an hour and a half to 2.5 hours. So they'll get done with practice around 6:30, 7 o'clock. They're required to eat dinner before they go to study hall, and our guys go to study hall around 7:30, and that's stay about an hour. And if you're struggling in the classroom, you have to stay 2 hours.
As you can tell, student athletes have very busy schedules. In fact, most people would argue that student athletes are working longer than your average 9-to-5 job. So, even though we may recognize that student athletes are working just as hard, if not harder, than regular employees, we do not always act like they are worthy of that title. This thought is what raises the biggest argument today in college sports. Should student athletes earn pay to play the game? While one side would argue that they deserve cash in hand as compensation, another side brings up the fact that college athletes already earn such compensation.
It's kind of a double-edged sword. You know, most college athletes who are on full scholarship, and so in a way, they kind of do already get paid, and it's you say whatever. It depends on where you're at, how much it is. That school is saying, hey, we're going to pay for your entire school, your entire schooling, everything that goes with it, your house, your food, everything that goes with it. If you commit to this, this standard and these standards and represent our university. Most Division I institutions do not make enough money from athletic events, whether games, basketball games, anything to do with the school and the student athletes that the school charges people to get in or that they collect revenue from. They don't make enough off of those to cover the expenses of all the sports at that institution. So they're pretty much paying to have these sports at the school.
And that is one of the biggest issues. There are only a few universities that make enough money through their sports programs to pay their athletes. Out of fairness, the NCAA is not going to allow only some athletes to earn extra money. That being said, Money is not the only issue the NCAA has with paying student athletes. Compensating college players outside of the scholarships they already receive seriously violates a very important policy in the NCAA bylaws. In fact, most would consider the amateurism policy the defining factor of college athletics.
Student athletes that need to hold themselves to a professional standard because they technically are getting paid to play whatever sport that they're in, by their scholarship. They're not getting handed cash, and they're not getting to do whatever they want with it, but it's an investment that they will be happy that they made once.
As the big debate continues on, college seasons are passing by in the meantime. Despite the way some athletes may feel about earning compensation, they seem uninterested in speaking out or refusing to play. As for now, the debate is not an issue. However, the longer the NCAA goes without making a clear decision, the bigger the effects could be. But for now, we get to keep cheering on our favorite teams and alma mater.